Milwaukee to build a safer, more enjoyable, more accessible city for everyone. So this year, we're going to be moving forward with 60 new projects that will transform streets in Milwaukee, making them safer for pedestrians, safer for bicyclists like Alderman Westmoreland here, and for drivers alike. These projects are all a part of our ongoing efforts in order to reduce reckless driving and encourage more people to walk, to use transportation alternatives such as bikes, scooters, other means. Over the course of the last few years that I've been the mayor, we've made some significant progress in reshaping our streets, and this year's initiatives, they continue to build on that momentum. So we're working to create spaces where people can enjoy their neighborhoods and, quite frankly, move around and do it in a safe manner. So we're here today on Lisbon Avenue to highlight one example of the great work that's happening literally all across Milwaukee. Now this street has long needed repair, and we're excited not only to be reconstructing the pavement, but also adding some very important traffic calming safety features as well. Features like protected bikeways as well as green infrastructure. Now all these improvements, they'll make Lisbon Avenue safer, more vibrant place for everyone who lives, who works, and who travels through this area. So I want to take a moment to thank Alderman Lamont Westmoreland, as well as Alderwoman Moore, who are with us today representing both District 5 and District 10 on the Milwaukee Common Council, which Lisbon Avenue runs through. We're grateful for your support of the initiatives of my administration in order to make these improvements for your constituents, our shared constituents in your districts and throughout our city. So together, we're building a city that works for everyone. A city where walking, a city where biking, a city where taking public transportation options are all viable and enjoyable options, no matter where you live, no matter where you work, no matter where you go to school in Milwaukee. We're making a city where people can move freely and a city where people can move safely, whether they're commuting to work, heading to the park, or simply taking a stroll through their neighborhood. Now I'd like to introduce Alderman Lamont Westmoreland. Alderman.
Thank you, sir. All right. No kickstand, man. Don't take off on me. Good morning, everybody. As we officially kick off construction season, I want to acknowledge the many projects that are happening across our city. These projects are essential not just for improving our roads, but protecting lives. I'm especially proud that one of the major projects will be happening right here, right behind us, for a 2-mile stretch here in the 5th District, extending into Alderwoman Moore's district. Now, let me be clear. I wish we could be using these funds and resources elsewhere, but we don't have a choice. The reckless driving crisis fueled by many selfless individuals continues to put us all at risk. Will this project or any single project happening across our city end reckless driving? No. But through consistent approach of education, engineering, and enforcement, I just learned that the other day from you, we will continue chipping away at this problem. And on the legislative side, I will continue pushing for stronger zero-tolerance consequences. So while construction season may be temporary inconveniences, the long-term goal is clear: safer streets, safer neighborhoods, and a safer Milwaukee for all of us. Thank you. Oh, and now we have Alderwoman Moore. Just fly away.
Thank you so much, Alderman Westmoreland and Mr. Mayor. This is an opportunity, and I know it's been a long time coming. I was talking to residents, former residents that use the Thoroughway regularly, and everybody's been waiting for, when is Lisbon going to get done? When is Lisbon going to get done? Well, it's going to get done now. The time is now. I'm so excited about this project and the opportunity to create, as the mayor shared and Alderman Westmoreland shared, the opportunity to create safer streets. We have drivers, we have pedestrians, we have young people, we have our elders that are here wanting to have a safer Milwaukee. We get the calls, we get the emails, We get it all. And this is an opportunity for us to come together to say, you know what? We believe in safer streets, and we believe in an opportunity for our community to be able to ride on our streets safely. Alderman Westmoreland mentioned the reckless driving. If we do not take advantage of opportunities, of funding opportunities to say, where is the need, then we're going to continue to get some of the same things. So I'm excited. I'm proud to be a part of this project. I'm proud that it'll impact District 10 as well. But this is for a safer and more walkable and more united Milwaukee. Thank you.
Try to keep everything under control here. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Muse, the city engineer for the City of Milwaukee. I'm excited to be here to share the work that we continue to do to improve the infrastructure and safety on our city streets. As Mayor Johnson mentioned, we're planning to get 60 projects underway or completed this year. This is part of our ongoing effort to create streets that serve everyone, not just drivers, but people walking, biking, and taking transit too. One of those projects is right here on Lisbon Avenue, as everyone else has been speaking about it as well. Not only will we be reconstructing the roadway, but we're also adding traffic calming measures, protected bikeways, green infrastructure, which will make this corridor safer and more accessible. We're replacing sidewalks, rebuilding pedestrian ramps to ensure accessibility, and building the city's first 2 roundabouts that protect people biking and walking as well. We'll also install new traffic signals and street lighting to improve visibility and safety for everyone. This project runs through both Districts 5 and 10, and I want to thank Alderman Westmoreland and Alderwoman Moore for their support on this project. We really look forward to continuing our collaboration to make these types of vital improvements in our neighborhoods across the city. In addition to our work on Lisbon Avenue, we're also focusing on providing new safe routes to parks, schools, and transit, ensuring our youngest citizens can walk and bike to and from school safely, and that residents and families can safely and securely access important resources across the county with ease and confidence. Improvements are coming to every part of our city. To the north, we're at 60th Street between Mill and Bradley. We're reducing automobile lanes and adding protected bike lanes. To the south, we're on 13th between College and Layton. We're repaving 2 miles of street and adding pin-down bump outs to improve safety and reduce speeding. And in between, we're on 20th Street or next to 20th Street between Olive and Villard. We're adding a new off-street bike and walking trail underneath the power lines. And on Jefferson Street near downtown, we're installing the city's first bioswale protected bike lane between Michigan and Erie. All of these improvements are part of a broader vision to discourage reckless driving and create streets that are truly for everyone. We're seeing more and more people in our city opting for a variety of transportation options, and the projects we're completing ensure those choices are not only possible, but safe and enjoyable. Thank you. We're happy to take any questions.
I mean, you think about the amount of money the city spends to combat reckless driving. If people didn't drive reckless, if people didn't drive like idiots, we could obviously direct that elsewhere. You talk about just repaving. I mean, you drive through neighborhoods and you see several streets that need repaving. I mean, there's lots of other spaces that money can go. But again, like I said, we don't really have a choice. This is part of fighting reckless driving and making everybody feel safer.
Yeah, so obviously any construction project like this, which is a full reconstruction of the road, does have a fair amount of disruption with it. The major construction on Lisbon is going to take 2 full years. So in 2025, this year, we're going to be working from 85th Street west towards Capitol, and in 2026, we'll work from 85th Street to Burleigh, so towards the east. In the first phase, we will be able to maintain 1 lane in each direction as part of the initial construction. There will be impacts on parking and things like that nearby, and we're going to basically try to do our best the entire time to maintain access to businesses and residences. When we're pouring someone's driveway apron, they might not be able to get into their driveway for a day or 2 as that's curing, but otherwise we really work to maintain access. because of the way we're designing the new street, focused on safety, once we get to the second phase each year in each of those segments, it will be westbound only for the second half of the construction season and in both years. So that's what we're focused on, is providing that access as much as possible. But there will be disruption. Obviously, welcome residents or businesses to call us and let us know what they're seeing, and we try to mitigate that as best we can. I did want to mention, since we do have business clusters on this corridor, particularly around 85th and 92nd and also further east, come support these businesses. Don't forget about them just because you're not driving down Lisbon as much because of the construction. We really want to make sure that our businesses do as best as they can during the construction process. Yeah, absolutely. So the city saw a pretty significant surge, which was true nationally as well, in fatalities and deaths and serious injuries related to transportation and because of reckless driving, right around the same time as the COVID-19 pandemic started. But the trend actually started going in the wrong direction a few years before that. So this is beyond just the pandemic accelerated it, I think, but it's beyond that. So in response to that, the city is trying to do what we can to discourage that speeding, discourage that reckless driving. So the different things we're doing basically are all various techniques using concrete and other things like that to try to narrow roadways so that there's less opportunity for people to pass on the right, less opportunity for somebody to make a dangerous maneuver, and encourage everybody to drive a little bit slower. When you do drive slower, it is easier for you to see everyone else using the road. It's because of the way human reaction times work. And so that's why we're focused on speed. Speed is directly correlated to safety, and we've seen some good results from the projects we've completed so far.
Why was this particular stretch of Lisbon chosen for traffic calming measures when there are other streets across the city that could use traffic calming measures?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lisbon, as I think the mayor said and others have said as well at the beginning, Lisbon was chosen for this project because of the pavement condition. So the road needs to be replaced. It's not in the condition where we could just resurface or put a new layer on top. We need to dig the whole thing up and replace it. That being said, whenever we're doing those projects in the city, we're taking the opportunity to make those streets safer. Lisbon itself is currently designed, really it's actually wide enough for 3 lanes in each direction, but we've got parking on the side, so it's 2 lanes in each direction, and the traffic volumes are nowhere near where they need to be for that to make that make sense. So 1 lane in each direction is definitely, people aren't going to see much congestion even with 1 lane in each direction. So that's, so it's more about the opportunity to make that investment. We certainly, as many of you know, we have other streets in the city that certainly have worse crash rates and those sorts of things. We have to balance what we're making the pavement investments as well as the safety investments, but we take the opportunity to do both when we can.
Can I add as well, I like to just add as well that the work that we do on infrastructure and engineering is one thing, but it's not the only thing. This is a part of an all the above approach that we try to employ in my administration and the city generally to address issues around safety on our roadways. So engineering is one, enforcement is another, and education is another piece. So we're utilizing all of these methods in order to make the streets safer for everybody. So they'll see it on the streets that they drive, they'll see it on the billboards when they're traversing through the city, and hopefully they see it as well in enforcement efforts that the Milwaukee Police Department and our partners in law enforcement embark on a daily basis in order to make sure our streets are safe for everybody. And ultimately that's the goal. That's the goal, is to make sure that these streets are safe for every single person in Milwaukee who's traveling, whether it's to school, whether it's to work, whether it's to a park, to the store, any place. We want it to be safe for everybody, no matter where you are in Milwaukee. Yeah, look, I want to echo what the police chief's comments were. We expect that every single person in government, but especially law enforcement officers, because they're held to a higher standard, we expect them to act with integrity in office. And when that officer or when any person who holds office like that doesn't meet the mark, then there's accountability that's accountable. That we're responsible for in that. So again, I want to echo what the comments of the police chief were. That's exactly what I expect. That's exactly what Alderwoman Moore and Alderman Miss Westmoreland expect as well. No, I don't believe that that's the case. I mean, this is an isolated incident, I believe, and when it comes to an issue like this, we should all be cognizant of the fact that there are individual people in the Milwaukee Police Department, right? Those individuals swear an oath to serve and protect. Sometimes, just like in every single profession, you might have somebody that strays, which was the case in this particular incident. However, I think the vast majority of people in the Milwaukee Police Department live up to the oath that they swear to protect and serve the people of Milwaukee, and do that with dignity and do that with diligence. And that's exactly what I expect of those police officers, and I think that's what the vast majority of police officers do.
Mayor, we got word about 3 additional schools being closed related to lead contamination. Just talk a little bit about, first of all, how we got to this point and kind of what you feel the mayor's office needs to do to continue to address this.
Yeah, we got to the point because, I mean, many decades ago, there was lead in paint, and when 1978 or so came around, it became a rule not to paint with lead-based paint, and so we don't see that there. But that paint still exists in facilities in Milwaukee, and not just here, but across the state and across the country as well. So we've been taking active approaches over the course of the last number of years with our health department and other places in order to mitigate lead exposure, lead risks for people in Milwaukee, and particularly for kids aged 6 years and younger who, when exposed to lead, may end up in a situation where they have developmental issues and things like that that may appear later on in life, also affecting issues around public safety. Specifically around the issue of Milwaukee public schools, there was a young person who had tested for lead and found that they had an elevated lead level. There was no, my understanding is that there was no lead findings in the home. Then the school was tested. That precipitated the first incident of a school closing. And because we have so many young people in schools across Milwaukee and in Milwaukee public schools, the health department has been going out and testing at these additional schools, working to make sure that we know what the lead risks are. That's exactly what we're doing in my administration, and the health department is working to make sure that we focus in on the public health risks for these kids, and that's what it's about. It's about protecting public health for the kids in Milwaukee public schools and in Milwaukee generally. So we'll be continue to work collaboratively with Milwaukee Public Schools. Superintendent Brenda Caselius will take office tomorrow, and we'll continue to work with her administration as well in order to make sure schools are safe for kids all over Milwaukee. Well, the health department is going into MPS districts, and we're working with school buildings rather, and we're working with MPS in order to get access to those buildings, in order to test for lead, in order to see what the exposure risks are. So there's always more work that needs to be done. We're committed to working with MPS and the health department in order to take care of the risks. Yeah, and my kids, I've got 3 of them that attend Milwaukee Public Schools as well. So this is something that hits home for me too. As a dad, and not just as a dad, but as mayor, I want folks to know that we're here to look out for the public health of kids. And there may be some disruption initially, but we want to work to make sure that there's no lead risk for kids, especially in a learning environment like schools. So we'll continue to work with the Milwaukee Public School District and continue to work with our health department in order to make sure that we mitigate health risks, these lead health risks for kids in schools all across Milwaukee. Yeah, we'll continue to work with Milwaukee Public Schools in order to suss out what the challenges may be there. And you're right, Jeremy. I mean, there's a cost. There's a cost of doing this, But those costs, I think, are small relative to the public health of kids in Milwaukee. And so we'll continue to work with MPS in order to make sure we get to the bottom of this and work to remediate those schools so that kids have a safe learning environment today and tomorrow. Sure, yes. So we've been working with Children's Wisconsin and others in order to make sure that families and students who attend some of these schools, or you think you may have some lead exposure risks, that you have the opportunity to come out and get tested. And so on Saturday down at Bradley Tech High School, we'll have a clinic available for families to come down to have their children be tested for lead exposure. Yeah, I do feel confident that the deadline will be made and that we'll get the SROs in place. As I've said from the beginning, this is something that, whether we like it or not, is a part of state law. I can remember, just like yesterday, being in the several meetings I was in Madison on this. This is not something that I asked for. It's something that one of those requirements that Republicans in the legislature pushed on the City of Milwaukee in order to get the additional revenues that we enjoy, that's keeping us able to keep police stations open, fire stations open, garbage collected and the like. I just want to make the record clear that initially the request was for police officers in every school in Milwaukee. And I negotiated that number down from 156 schools, so that'd be 156 officers, down to 25. So it's not something that I asked for, but it is something that is law and something that should have been done some time ago. I'm glad that finally we were able to get there, and I think that we'll be able to get those officers in school and not end up suffering those fines. I'll leave that to the city engineer if he can answer that question. But to the larger extent that you're asking, whether or not we're concerned about federal funds, yeah, I mean, this is something that not just Milwaukee, but all governments, whether it's local governments or state governments, are concerned about. There is not a scalpel that's being taken to federal departments. It's a sledgehammer that's been taken to some of these departments without, it seems like, any concern about what it actually does to people on the ground in Milwaukee or in places across the country. And you can say that as it relates to projects funded by the United States Department of Transportation. You can say that for USAID and the work that they do. It's a real challenge and something that we will have to be cognizant on and work through over the course of the next 3+ years, as long as President Trump's in office.
And just to add to what the mayor said, so anything that's got the yellow tag on it there, every federal project works on a reimbursement process. So we have to expend the funds before we get reimbursement. In this case, all those projects are reimbursed through the State Department of Transportation or the Wisconsin DOT. And so at this point, we've been working closely with Wisconsin DOT. They have no reason to believe any of these are at risk at this point. We wouldn't be starting construction if we thought they were. But we are, as the mayor said, keeping a close eye on what's happening. And we are concerned, just like every other local government is across the country, about what that might mean for our future projects.
I've seen some of the coverage. You want to ask your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
We would like to know if you think the DNR issuing fines of less than $800 per litter. Do you think that's sufficient for the problem that's happening?
I think that this is a huge issue that has been a problem in our community for a number of years. Just as a matter of fact, on the way here, we were just having conversations I was leading about how to address this issue, how to work within city government to further address this problematic issue that's been plaguing our community for far too long. So it's something that we'll have to continue to look at. And yeah, I mean, I want to make sure that we use every single lever that we have in order to address the issue, because it affects people's quality of life. I mean, nobody wants to wake up and see, you know, a pile of 5,000 tires, you know, sitting across the street from your house. The people who are doing this should be ashamed of what they're doing. And I think it's incumbent upon all levels of government in order to work to make sure that we're seeking a way to stop the issue and hold those folks accountable who are doing this. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Oh,
Just a second.
I can take both ones. That's fine. You don't care. I can.
This one's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Things fly away.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.